When I was age 15, I started becoming a serious student. I rose from the bottom of the class to become one of the three best students in my class. But there was a problem, a big one, and that is, I only read academic books. I only read academic books because it did make a lot of sense to me. If I read academic books, I'll do well in school. Doing well in school means that my mates will respect and envy me, and my parents will be proud of me. Reading any other book doesn't make any sense. Though one of my best friends read self-development and fiction books, I always considered it as a waste of time, since he was never going to have degrees doing so. Fortunately for me, one day I was around 16 or 17, and I wanted to taste what it's like to read personal development books, and I picked up a book. Like a guy who tastes hard drugs for the first time, I tasted it the second and the third. Boom! I became an addicted reader. And ever since then, my life has been 1,000 times better than what it would have been if I had not been a reader. Here's the thing. Ben Carson said, "The doors of the world are open to people who can read." The world is being ruled by people who read, and the reason for that is simple. If I can know what you don't know, I can do what you can't do. If I can do what you can't do, I can achieve what you can't achieve. And if I can achieve what you can't, I can be called a hero when you're just one of the average dudes. The problem we have with too many young people today is that self-education isn't what they appreciate or ever consider. Most young people would read as long as that would give them grades. But because self-development books give you no grades, it's boring, especially when many interesting things are going on social media. The doors of the world are open to those who can read. My study of successful people. Because I grew up in a very poor family, I think it was natural that at a point in my life, I became curious about why a few people are rich when most people are struggling financially. So a few months after I started reading, I fell in love with stories about successful individuals. After reading about 100 of the most successful people in the world, from business to science to politics and almost every other area of human endeavor, I can tell you one thing that unites every successful person, and that is, they all read a lot. The doors of the world are open to people who can read. Many years ago, I was reading the autobiography of Bill Clinton, and I read something that challenged me ever since then. Bill Clinton, at a certain period of his life, read 300 books in 2 years. If you think about that, that is the number of books the average human being would read in 300 years. Yes, you heard me correctly. An average human being reads 1 book a year. So reading 300 books in 2 years means that you are 300 years ahead of an average individual. One of the most famous 20th century political leaders of my country, Obafemi Awolowo, advised that every human being should read 4 hours every day. This guy read to the last day of his life in 1987. Readers are not leaders because there is no magic inside the books. Readers are leaders because readers know what 99% of people don't know. And when you know what most people don't know, you can achieve what they cannot achieve. Let me tell you a few personal stories. At age 18, I got admission to a polytechnic in my country. And when I was going to that school, my goal was to become one of the most famous guys on campus. Before we resumed for the semester, I had started reading various books at the beginning of the semester. I read books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Art of Public Speaking, and many others. So it happened that these books taught me a lot about human relationships, public speaking, and leadership. I wasted no time applying what I learned, and 1 year after I got admission to the school, I became one of the most popular and most influential in the entire polytechnic. There was no magic involved. I simply read what most people don't, and then did what most people can't. Then I got what most people couldn't. After over 7 years of struggling in the business world, I visited a friend and saw some books with him. As my custom is, I borrowed one of those books and started reading it. Like most books, I read and loved it, but no instant magic happened. A few days, however, as I wanted to sleep at night, an idea struck my mind, which was a result of what I learned in the book I read a few days before. So it happened that what I had read a few days before, which didn't make any sense to me, suddenly made a lot of sense to me. I stood up at night and spent the entire Friday night writing down the ideas which the new insight had inspired. That singular insight changed my life forever, as it led to my first business breakthrough. I can continue telling you my personal story about how reading has made my life 1,000 times better than what it would have been, but let me stop here. The doors of the world are open to people who can read. What if you're too busy? Some people think that the reason why they are not reading is that they are too busy. Well, one of the things I've learned over the years is that when people tell you that they are too busy to do anything, it usually is because such a thing is not important to them. Listen to this. One of the busiest human beings in this century is Bill Gates. I run a little company and I can tell you how crazy it could be. For a guy who builds one of the biggest companies in the world to read one book every week is crazy. But why does Bill Gates read one book every week? Well, if he doesn't read a lot, he wouldn't know where life is going, and he wouldn't be relevant tomorrow. Barack Obama read 1 hour every day when he was the US president, far more than that before he became the president. Do you think 10 other human beings in the world are busier than the US president? So why did Barack Obama read that much even though he had a million things he needed to attend to? The answer is simple. Nothing. Nothing in the entire world is more important than your mind, and anything that stops you from nourishing your mind has killed you. Some people say, I have a job and that's why I can't read. I have kids and that's why I can't read. Or I'm busy in school and that's why I can't read. Well, if you're so busy working on a job that you don't have time to nourish and grow your mind, then you are a slave. I'm sorry if that sounds too harsh, but here is the reality. If you don't grow your mind, you can't grow your life. And if you don't grow your life, you're a slave. The doors of the world are open to people who can read. If you like this video, watch more videos on our channel and share this video with your friends. We love you.